Welcome back to the channel. My name is Christina. We're live streaming today, and I'm going to be using StreamYard, so I'll be quicker in between my slides. We're going to use commentary from Mindful Attraction 2.0, also known as the Toxic Dating Coach, and he's got some good advice. His video is titled The Mentality That Gets Men Addicted to Women. And so this subject tonight is the tipping point of patriarchy. Now, my point of view is it's going to be mixed with his commentary. I have some articles as well, but my main point is that patriarchy is going to suffer because of modern day behavior and addictions. So let's get into the video and let's add him to the stage.
Don't you notice how so getting a guy addicted to you is a lot of the time is not about what you're doing, right? Even though that's the effects, but the what you do is primarily affected by your mentality, the way you perceive things. You see what I'm saying? And the way you perceive things is based on your past experiences, the filters that you have. Your past experiences and the things that you held on to are the filters that you bring into the present moment. Somebody hurt you. As a result, you're going to use that pain to filter your relationships. You're going to fear pain. So your behavior is going to be pain aversion. So you're going to act more needy. You're going to act more seeking validation, right? And so that's what tends to happen. And so most people, if you notice, isn't this is one of the most annoying dichotomies, and it's this is that the guys that you don't like become addicted to you, and the guys that you do like you more. So it's very frustrating, not from my experience, right? But from women's perspective, it's very frustrating. And they ask themselves, why does this happen? Why does this phenomenon occur? So I'm gonna show you why this happens. And for those who are taking notes, take notes and send them to me. This is a video that I'm doing freestyle. I haven't written any notes. I only thought about it. I'm making it right now, right? So I'm just using it from memory. So primarily speaking, the way we perceive people is through role playing. Usually the way we interact with people is through almost a game, role playing. We have a boss and we see them as the boss, right? As a result, we have certain emotions that's linked up to the boss, right? We see a boss and we our personality changes when we're around our boss. Our personality changes when we're around our parents, depending on the relationship that you have with them. Then your personality changes when you're around guys that you don't like. Your personality changes when you're around guys that you do like. And that's where things get tricky. Because you say to yourself, why do I act this way? Why do I keep getting these results with guys that I don't like? This is why. It's because of role playing, once again. So how does this affect the way we interact with people? Role playing is dependent on where you are in a totem pole, socially, emotionally, and physically, attractively speaking. This where you are, then you use that standard to perceive other people and to know how you behave around them. So if you perceive yourself as someone of lower value, low self-esteem, then when you hang out with somebody and you perceive them as big people who are better than you, more attractive than you, then what's going to happen? You're going to get nervous around them. You're going to get jaded. You're not going to really show your true personality because you're afraid, right? It's kind of like when you play basketball. If you're a nice basketball player and you're playing with scrubs, you're going to play nasty. But when you're around someone who's much better than you, you're going to suck. That's why NBA players, when you watch NBA players, they look like the bad players look like they're bad. But in reality, the reason why they look so bad is because they're around players who are better than them. So as a result, they can capitulate and their skill sets actually get worse. Why? Not because they actually suck, but because they're perceiving the competition around them as better. And so as a result, their skill set gets lower. They surrender to the player who's better than them, and they allow them to have control. So when we see them, we think they suck. But when they get on the court with a normal basketball player like me, they'll dominate because they know.
Remember the video on the male gaze and why you're insecure. I talk about when you're at the checkout at Walgreens and you start getting nervous because the guy is cute ringing you up. You don't plan on giving him your number and you're not even available, but you still feel nervous. That's the male gaze, okay? This world, the system is all set up to please men, the dominant species here. So what I tell modern women is, you know, be conscious of your body language, your nonverbals, because that's all factoring into how you are perceived. And when people can, specifically when men can sense that you're insecure, they automatically link it to your sexuality, your sexual value. A lot of men like when you're insecure, but that's another subject. So I like y'all to think about the male gaze when he's talking about surrendering to people who you find to be superior or attractive.
They know they're better. So that's what happens with people who we like, is that when you like someone, right, and your self-esteem is lower because you see them as valuable. You don't There's not that many people that you like. So as a result, if you see somebody that you like, you're like, damn, they're pretty cool people, I want to keep them in my life. So then what happens is that when you see them as higher value, you have a certain script that you have for people who are better than you. You see, that's why bullies, when they're around people who are stronger than them, they'll get lower. When they're around people who are weaker than them, they'll act stronger. There's certain script that people have depending on the roles that people play in their lives. So how do you play this game? The thing is that if you play this game, you will always be susceptible to finding someone who's better than you. That means when you find someone you like, you say to yourself, "Fuck, I found the guy that I like." And like, "Oh fuck, I need to keep him." Suddenly, you're acting from a place of neediness. Because the role that you guys are playing is that you're valuable and I need you. So what happens? The way you're seeing them is like you're putting them on a pedestal. You're seeing them as people who are better than you, right? So this mentality to get guys attracted to you is not about a way that you. It's not.
So DALEXIS is talking about how we pedestalize people that we find to be superior, better looking, more attractive. And what I'm thinking about is that the males, I'm sorry, I wanted to say the male gaze, but patriarchy is suffering to addiction. And what they've done is made every male has an opportunity to mate, whether he's deserving of it or not. He can do it via OnlyFans. And so, because we have all these accesses, alcohol, drugs, all of these vices, patriarchy is now being preoccupied with pleasure. And so the species who isn't too occupied, who has a stronger prefrontal cortex, which is the female species, we can take full advantage of this timing where everyone is looking left. We could we can sneak in and get what we want out of society while everyone's distracted. And so that's why if you start opening and unlocking your mind, ladies, you'll see that a lot of the men are zombies, are porn babies. They're not thinking properly. I read some articles under a video of women saying how they're waiting for their husband, their kingdom husband. And one woman said that her and her man hadn't seen each other in a year. And she drove past the gas station and she saw his car. And she said the Lord had to stop her from turning around and doing a U turn. Good on her. But I left her a comment and said, come to my channel because men don't operate like that. You the only one that's feeling like that, feeling all agony and tearful. That man, if he hasn't contacted you in a year, it's a good chance you're not his kingdom spouse. You're the only one feeling that way. So women got to recognize that men are not emotional, not to the extent that women are.
It's not about changing the way you perceive things, right? But more seeing things for reality, seeing the true essence of things. And now, what's this true essence? Is that no one is better or worse than you. You see, if you choose to play this game of being better than somebody else, or somebody being better, somebody being worse, then you're gonna be susceptible to, when you find somebody that you like, you're gonna get nervous around them. So you're gonna fuck it up. When you're around somebody that you don't like, you see them as less attractive, as less valuable. So what happens? You act more attractive. You don't give a fuck. So you act like you're more attractive. You don't text them as often because you're not interested. There's natural behaviors that arises when you're around people who you like and you're around people you don't like. So how do you change this shift? It's very simple. And look, it sounds silly, but it's kind of true. There are two ways. One, this is the way I used to do it when I used to talk to girls. For example, when I would approach women, and I was needy and I needed a woman and I would approach her, I would get nervous because I saw her as my ticket to happiness. I'm like, fuck, I'm not having a good day. I need a girl to validate me. You know, that happens unconsciously. So I would approach and the girl would like, yes. I'm like, oh, I saw you and I thought you were cute and I wanted to say hi. Yeah, I'm busy right now. I'm like, oh, God damn it. All right. Why? Because I saw them as better. My perception of them was like grandiose, like, oh, you know what I'm saying? So then I said to myself, you know what? If what's really going on here is that I'm reacting to the mental projection that I'm having of her, because realize you're not really reacting to her, you're reacting to your own projections of her. You see? You're reacting to the idea of them, not to the true essence of them. So then what you have to do is A, get real, or change the way you see them. So then all I did was this. I said to myself, okay, so if I'm really reacting to them, to the looks, and I'm getting nervous, so what happens if I just start seeing them as I see my dog? What happens if I just start acting as though I'm talking to my dog? If you guys see my Snapchat, right, you know that I like to play with my dog, right? I like to play around. We're very silly together. So the other one would be not playing the game. And is that the reason why you're perceiving people as better or worse than you is because you're playing into these roles. These role playing are made because these roles come about because of your own perception of yourself. I'm gonna get deep right now. Your own perception of yourself is not real. Your own perception of yourself was given to you as a result of your environment. People told you you're a girl, you're this, you're that. With girl comes certain emotions, certain attributes, better or worse than men, right? And so what tends to happen is that tends to become your identity. So what do you do then? All you got to do is literally begin to observe the difference, your contraction, your elevation, your descent when you hang out around certain people. For example, if you hang around someone who you're highly attracted to, observe yourself feeling inferior. And then if you're hanging around somebody who's not attractive, observe yourself feeling more elevated. You see, what I want you to do is just begin to notice the ups and downs, the ebb and flow when you hang around certain people. Notice the way your self-esteem rises when you're around certain people, and notice the way your self-esteem descends when you're around certain people. You're just bringing conscious awareness. Why? Because then you're going to begin to become liberated from that bind of role playing. You're gonna stop playing those roles. You're gonna see someone and you're gonna think and you're gonna see them as better, but then you're gonna observe that this is all a perception. This is the thing, is that people are just projecting their own desires onto you. If there's somebody wants to make you feel shitty, then what's gonna happen? They're gonna try to get a nice car, they're gonna try to get a lot of women, and they're gonna try to show it off to you. And so they're trying to project this image. But then your responsibility is to see them for who they are. Don't buy into the charades, the masquerades, the illusion they're putting on. See the essence, and it's this: that what's in you, it's in them. Who's inside of you is also inside of them. When Kanye West goes to sleep, you know who's inside. You know who's there? The same person that you are. What's the difference? The only difference is on the outside.
I want to use Beyonce as an example because it ties in with her childhood and her parentification and how, or basically how she was parented. They invested in her potential. Okay. They saw her potential, and I would like to use the word popular because her mom was very popular when it came to hair and fashion. And so her dad was very trendy when it came to business. And so they were able to popularize Beyonce at an early age. And that gave her confidence. And that is the drive that men are more addicted to, confident women. And so the example with Beyonce is that her parents put in so much work into her as a kid, but there's no difference between anybody else. It's just that maybe a person who isn't as successful, isn't as confident, their parents did not invest the same amount. That's the only difference that the Lexus is trying to say here.
The outside. The only difference is the body, the brain, but the perception is the same. So when you see Jay-Z, you may think he's better than you, but in reality, he's not. The only reason why you think he's better than you is because of the illusion that's around him. But when you catch him alone, by himself, and you talk to him, I swear to God, if you just look through the veil of the body, you're gonna realize that what's inside of him is also inside of you. You see, and it's not about trying to feel better than somebody else. It's about having an overall encompassing compassion for all of humanity. You see your boss, you see him as trying to be better, but then you look inside and you see the same thing that's in you, and that's your awareness, the consciousness. This realization of the essence and the unity of all things liberates you from that, from role playing that people are trying to project onto you. You're gonna feel yourself feeling shitty, and then you're gonna realize what's inside of you is also inside of the person. You see, and that's something that made me, and that's something that I think was a trigger to my success. Because when I began seeing Jay-Z, literally, I began seeing Jay-Z, and this is what I used to say to myself: what would happen if I literally, what would happen if when Jay-Z was starting to become big, right? What would happen if I was him, right? What would happen if I was him and I did everything that he did? I did everything that he did. I thought exactly how he thought. And I made the music that he made. Will I have the same success as he did had? Yes. Why don't people believe in themselves? Because they think that they are made out of a different cloth. You think that they're special. But the truth is that they're not special. The truth is that if you did exactly what they did, you would get the same results. But why don't you think that? Because you think you're not better than them. You think they're better than you. You think they're elevated. But once you remove the action, the external, and all of the things that surrounds them, and you realize that in reality, who they are is really you. The only difference is that they have different thoughts, they have different emotions, but what's inside of them that's aware of those thoughts and emotions is the same thing that's inside of you. There's no difference in awareness. The only difference is in the objects. Now, we could go even deeper and realize that the object of their awareness is made out of their own consciousness. Their own consciousness is creating their own world. Your own consciousness is creating your own world. So in reality, it's the same shit. And that shit liberated me. I'm like, what? Why am I not trying to do greatness? Why am I not trying to go for greatness? And when what's inside of him is inside of me. If he could do it, I could do it. So then that's when you start realizing that there's no such thing as somebody better or worse than you. They just try to, for example, like parents. Parents is a perfect example. Where when you're a child, you think that they're the greatest people in the world. You think that they're the epitome of authority. And then when you grow up, you realize that they were just playing a role. You remember that look that your parents gave you, the you fucking up look, like you better do, the look of like you better behave. I'm gonna hit you with chancleta when we get home, right? We feared that. But now I'm like, she gives me the look like, I'm like, Mom, what you trying to do? I'm kidding, I don't do that. But seriously, like, it was all an illusion. She was trying to project the role of a parent onto me. You see? And so I bought into it. But then as you grow up, you see the illusion. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm trying to help you see the illusion. That in reality, that God that you want is as empty as you are.
Stay focused on decentering your personal relationships, particularly in childhood and how you were parented. When I decided to detach myself from the toxic illusions of generations, I like to call these generational curses, generational habits. When I detached myself from it and I realized that I'm following in toxic footsteps, I was able to find myself, my potential, and parent myself. Okay, I was able to pour into myself, and immediately I started seeing progress in my relationships in society, with other people, with men, with my friends. I saw the change because now I'm not operating in a way that benefits them. It's like a child parent relationship. You operate as a child trying to please your parent. But as an adult, you cannot continue to operate like that or you'll be a people pleaser. So immediately you want to unlearn the toxic things that you've learned in childhood. If you have a good upbringing, then you don't have to do this part.
That God that you value is as empty as you are. You only think he has value because you perceive yourself as lacking value. It's all based on perception. The grass is greener than the other side. Oh, I'm on point today. I'm on fire. And so this is the illusion that causes most people's low self-esteem. Comparison. What comparison to what? Comparison to form. The things that you see. You value the things that you see, but you don't value the essence of all things, which is your awareness. Begin to see the awareness in people, and suddenly you're not seeing the illusion that they're trying to sell to you. Look, I'm awesome. Look, I'm great. No, motherfucker. You're the same shit that I am. And I have compassion for you because I see exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to feel better. I'm not hating on you, but I understand you. You see, and so then when I see women now, I see them as beautiful creatures, right? But then I see that in reality, it's all based in illusion. For example, women are fucking hot, right? But women are hotter with their clothes on. Take all of their clothes off, please do. Take all of their clothes off, right? And suddenly you're gonna see that every woman has a similar, almost like kind of like similar body. It's nothing special. The only thing that's special is the adornment, the perfume, the way she puts her makeup on, the way she shows her cleavage, the way she oh my goodness in heaven, right? And so it's all a gaming illusion. Now it's up to you to buy into it. It's up to you.
That's the all I have from the DALEXIS clip. And then he's linked below. His channel is called Mindful Attraction, aka the Toxic Dating Coach. He makes some good points on why a lot of people are addicted to you. And it's an illusion. Half of it is what you believe in yourself. But I wanted to take modern society and patriarchy as a whole and consider everybody being consumed with some kind of addiction, whether it's OnlyFans, women, whether it's gambling. There's so many vices out here, but in particularly, porn is it associates men and women. Okay, so now we're focusing on sexuality here, and a lot of the patriarch is focused on sex, and we don't realize that it's increased over time because access has increased. So what how does this benefit matriarchy? Well, if you're not looking, if you pay close attention rather, you'll see that a lot of people are distracted, and women don't operate from the same sex drive. So if we pay attention, while we are suffering and begging for rights and begging for safety, while we're sitting here begging for love, we don't realize that we can just go ahead and take it. And we have to be sharp about this because sex can be very dangerous and bring vile actions out of people. So we have to make sure we're not playing with people. When we take over this patriarchy, we're going to have weapons, knives, guns. We're going to have a security, pepper spray. We're going to have to really protect ourselves from these men because listen, they're willing to give up the world power because they're horny. So think about how deadly this can get. But in our favor, the pros to addiction is that now matriarchy, the softer, more gentler, more reasonable species, can finally dominate. And what a lot of women have to do is stop playing submission to people who are walking off of a cliff, glued to a screen, glued to a crack pipe. Okay, so I want you to take a look at this article here. It says watching porn is associated with male brain shrinkage. Viewing porn shrinks the brain, reports the Daily Mail. In a small study, MRI scans found that men who watched the most pornography had less gray matter, complex brain tissue compared to men who watched the least. It found a weak to moderate correlation between the number of hours of porn viewed a week, smaller smaller and less active areas of the brain associated with the reward, sexual stimulation in men. So now I'm going to put this on the screen so you can see the second article that I'm going to read from. Okay, we're getting into it. Here's the article. It's called The Non Existent Brain Image Being Circulated. Let's see. Okay, so now you're looking at this image of the brain. Um, Let me make it up close so you can see the difference. Okay. So this is showing you here is your brain on the left. In the middle, it says here is your brain on heroin. And you can see that there's some indentures in the top of the brain. And to the very right, it's sharing how the brain looks on porn. So it actually looks like there's more holes and indentures in the brain. I wasn't trying to do like a porn intervention here, but I was trying to just explain that there's science to what I'm saying here is that addiction has really changed the patriarchy and that they have become the weaker species now. As you can see, the woman has an advantage just in her brain alone. I mean, forget physicalities. I know the average woman is about 5'4". So, yeah, that's still going to remain. But when it comes to the mind, and so what I heard someone say in the comment section was those who trigger you are those who control you. Just keep that in mind. So, anyways, I want to show you one last article here. Let me switch. And this one is showing you, I'm going to read the first paragraph. Okay, you see that there. Okay, so watching pornography rewires the brain to a more juvenile state. So the patriarchy is reducing itself to juveniles, to the state of a juvenile. Um, it says summary from eroding the prefrontal cortex, which is an area of the brain critical for impulse control, to damaging the dopamine reward system. Researchers evaluate the impact of viewing pornography on the brain. Keep in mind, this is not just focused on porn. This is on people who drink excessive, smoke excessive, gamble, any kind of vices that focus on the dopamine and the reward system of the brain. It's going to change how this person functions. Okay, so they are essentially zombies now. The modern man is essentially a zombie. He's not building homes. He's not trying to, you know, climb up the corporate ladder. No, he's trying to make enough money so he can pay for his fix and come home. He's sitting and he's glued to a TV screen. He's not investing. He's not on Wall Street. The modern man is a slave to his vices. So modern women who naturally have a stronger prefrontal cortex, we have better impulse control. Okay, so that means you have an advantage, a mental and physiological advantage. Okay, and so now what we're going to see is that addiction might be the death of patriarchy. I want you to think about mentally taking over the world. Okay, if the military is no longer fighting land wars and they're using technology, they're using things that activated at a push of a button. It doesn't take a man or a woman to do that. It could be a chimpanzee, it could be a robot at this point. So now we've changed the dynamics of how we maintain our power. Okay? What we need to recognize, I'm done with this article here. So, what we need to recognize as modern women is that we have a new landscape of patriarchy. And if we stop crying, stop being, crazy in love, we can realize that modern men's addiction to women, sex, sexuality, that plays right into your hand. That plays right into your hand. And I'll go deeper into this in another video. I'm still testing out StreamYard and getting used to it. But I wanted to play this content, put it in your mind, plant the seed, and make sure you guys are subscribed because we're going to talk more. I like to play the videos, give a commentary, back it up with stats. So if you guys enjoy this content, make sure you're subscribing, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.